Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Man Cave. It's that time of the week again. We got Brother Jeff and my executive producer from the Man Cave Towers, way up above in the penthouse suite of the Man Cave. How's Tanya?
Hmm. Tanya's drinking coffee.
Speaking of drinking, Jeff, are you going to have a drink with us tonight?
What do you think, John?
What are we having?
Chattanooga 91.
Okay. I picked up a bottle the other week that I haven't had on here yet, but this Heaven Hill bottled in bond, they've got some of it down at my local shop, and I was actually back in there today, and they still have some. I may end up kicking myself for not getting another bottle, but I had a glass of this last week, and this is one of the smoother pours I've had in a long time. It's Jeff. I need to get you a sample of this because this is smooth like Eagle Rare. This is that kind of smooth at 100 proof, and it's really good. So that's what I'm having tonight.
I'll have to look and see if I can get that down here.
Dennis, Brian, Levi, glad you guys can make it in with us tonight. If you're having a drink with us, let us know what you're having and where you are in the comments. We'll get a couple fingers of that put away in the glass here. Hank, glad you can make it. But yeah, this is my first bottle of Heaven Hill. I've never had access to any of it before. It shows up when they have the bourbon lotteries here, but apparently they got a couple cases of it because if I bought a bottle 10 days ago and they've still got some in there, they've got more. Andrew's having the bonded Jack. I like that too. I've got a bottle of that back here somewhere on the shelf. I think it's that one right there on the end. It is. That one hasn't even been opened yet. Scott's having some beer, having an IPA. Awesome. Scott's after me. I got that one. That's my favorite whiskey right there, Scott, for sure. Norm, this is a Heaven Hill bottled in bond. That's what I'm having tonight. It's a 7-year-old bottled in bond. Woodford Rye from Randy. Awesome. So Dolph is having tequila, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that a tequila? I'm not as up on my tequila. Penelope Barrel Proof. They've got several varieties of Penelope up here at my shop too. I haven't tried those yet. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
It is tequila.
Yeah.
Well, not what I'm drinking, but what Dolph's drinking.
Man, tequila, I don't have anything against tequila really, but in my younger days, I had a really rough night one time with tequila. I did. And it happens to the best of us. And ever since then, just the smell of tequila makes my stomach churn, and I don't know how to get past that. I've been considering expanding my horizons with the spirits, but I haven't made up my mind which direction I want to go. I was actually talking to some friends about rum, and maybe, but since I tend to like sweeter, I might try some rums. And I've got another friend that's been pushing me really hard to go to gin, but I don't know. That Honorog's Jeff's the one that's been suggesting the gin, and I just don't know. I'm not as big of a fan of the juniper berry flavor, so maybe maybe if I found the really right gin. I used to keep gin on hand when I was young and making mixed drinks, and I would keep that Bombay Sapphire on the shelf all the time. So yeah, Dolph, that's what I've been told. I need. There's a lot of stuff I need to look at, and because the tequila that gave me the rough night was Two Fingers, and it's like uh, aristocrat. It's kind of the bottom shelf stuff. Oh boy, we got a question already, Jeff.
Cool.
Favorite burn ends method? Well, first of all, David, what are you going to make burn ends out of? Because everybody these days is making burn ends out of everything else, including brisket
And
uh,
hot dogs.
and hot dogs. Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
seeing
I've
that
done
video.
that. That was fun. I got no; those were good, man. I got no complaints with that at all. So, what are you gonna make your burn ends out of? We'll hit that before we dig into anything else because I like burn ends. But there is a definite method to getting it and doing it well. So uh, I'm assuming he's going to go with brisket. Jeff, what's your favorite technique for brisket burn ends?
Well, I've been doing that Myron mixing hot and fast, and then cutting the point off and making burn ends out of them, and they've come out really good.
Mhm. Well, what I do if I'm going to do it with a brisket, basically you wait till the brisket's done, and you're going to sacrifice the entire point to burn in. So the point is a lot fattier meat than the flat. The point, is the best part of the brisket, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
That's one of the reasons I personally have a difficult time sacrificing that for burn ends because I would rather have point slices than burn ends. That's just my preference. But I've made burn ends. I don't know how many times, but when the brisket's done, when you determine that your brisket's done, I separate the point from the flat. I do whatever I'm going to do with my flat right away because it dries out. And I cube that point in about an inch and a half. I go big, an inch and a half or 2 inch cubes on that point. And then I put them in a pan and I shake some additional rub on to get the entire surface of that burn in covered with the rub. And then I put them back on the smoker for probably 30 or 45 minutes. And then I add sauce and toss them in the sauce and give them another hour, probably close to an hour. And that's given me my better results on brisket burn ends. But I don't see who asked it here. Somebody threw up the pork belly. Pork belly burn ends are, man, that's good stuff. I would much rather do my burn ends with pork belly. And it's pork belly burn ends are so easy to do because you can cook pork belly to a temperature. You don't have to worry about probe tenderness, blah blah, uh, all this guru, the caterpillar sitting on top of the mushroom smoking a hookah. You don't have to have all this amazing wisdom to make a perfect cook on pork belly. Uh,
John, my
uh,
mother-in-law has entered the chat room and she's getting
yeah,
ready to leave.
hi
So you
mom.
better say hello to her because she is the
Hi,
world's best
Mom.
mother-in-law.
Hey, I didn't see her come in there, but now I
Thanks
have.
for the do rags.
Yeah, we're gonna get some more. We're working on that. We got some more coming. So, but the pork belly, guys, if you want to smoke pork belly, it doesn't matter how you want to cut it up when you're done, but cook it to 195 degrees and it's perfect. You don't need to take pork belly to 200 or 205. 195 is an excellent
Yeah.
finishing temperature for pork belly. And with the pork belly, what I like to do to make the burnt ends is I like to cook that pork. I tend to smoke the whole, whatever slab I've got, the whole slab, up until I hit about 180 or 175, and then I cut my cubes. And at that point, I just shake more rub on, and I sauce it all at once. And just, I like to do the pork belly burnt ends. I don't put them back in a pan. I'll put them on a rack uh, where they get good airflow around them, because it's a little bit harder. You're not really forming what I would call a bark on pork belly. It doesn't bark up uh, like your typical beef does. So, but those things, when they're done right, they just melt in your mouth, and they're really incredible. Pork belly's become my favorite thing to make burnt ends out of. And you asked about chuck, so you can do this with chuck, but I just don't think chuck works as good. It's a lot harder to get chuck as tender as you get a pork belly or a brisket point. The chuck just doesn't ever really. The chuck wants to fall apart. It just wants to disintegrate when you get it good and tender. So, and Brian, that's going to be all preference. I like sweet sauces. I like Kansas City style sweet sauces, and I like Western North Carolina style sweet sauces. I just recently, I think I did it on the Man Cave Meals Facebook page, an updated version of my homemade sauce recipe, which is, I would not hesitate to use that on any kind of burn in. Yeah, don't, Ryan, give it a try. My food line's got pork belly back in, and they'll have pork belly all summer, probably up until the end of October. So, and it's $6 a pound. So I'll probably, whenever I think about it, I'll run up there and I'll get a whole one, and I'll parcel it out, and I'll do some burnt ends again with pork belly. They're skinned. They don't have the skin on them. You don't want to do pork belly with skin on. You don't want to do burnt ends with skin on. That needs to be skinless. But there are a lot of cool things you can do with skin on pork belly, but burnt ends aren't one of them. that skin just gets chewy and leathery. It's real unappealing.
It's like chewing gum bands.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So Tanya, we'll bring you back here in just a little bit. And Jeff's been cooking this week. Uh-oh. Here we go again. I
Waited too long, John.
got to log back into Google. That's the most annoying thing ever. It won't keep me logged in but a week. So give me just a second here, and I'll get us logged back into Google, and we can look at the pictures. I was logged in right before we started, and then it kicked me back out. So Jeff did what do we got here?
It's my cottage pie that I normally do. This time I did it a little bit differently, and I should have taken more pictures. I actually made it in the carbon steel wok, and then transferred it over to the casserole and added the cauliflower mash and the cheese, and let it sit there in the Kamado, and it browned up pretty good in the Kamado. I used 2 smoked cheeses this time, a smoked white cheddar and a smoked Gruyere.
Right.
And that came out really, really nice. I added, for the sauce, it was the W sauce, and then, like I said, I used some of Darren Wilson's Black Stallion. It's a black garlic horseradish sauce, and that added a real nice note to the sauce.
Yep. That looks good. I haven't made a cottage pie lately. It's something I need to get back on. Tanya, maybe we'll try that sometime soon, and we'll use Jeff's cauliflower mash on it.
Well, like I said, that's what I use. My extra. One of the things I use, my extra brisket and pulled pork. I'll throw that in there. This one was entirely brisket from that last Kroger brisket I did, and having it cook in there and simmer, that brisket was just super tender, super tender.
Yep. I did a little work this week on that Weber grill I'm restoring. This I should have put a before picture up here, but I've got this. This is the base, the bottom part of the grill capsule, and it's inverted. And I replaced these two rails here. These are the rails that hold the grease catch pan in place on that. They were completely rusted out, so I bought two new ones and got them on. And I've painted this thing also. I've got the outside of that painted and cleaned up. I started working on the lid this week also. The sides, the left, the right side, and the front handle on this grill were gray, and I needed them to be black for the paint scheme that I'm getting ready to put on this. That hopefully I'm going to get started on that tomorrow, and with any luck, I'll be finished with the painting on this thing before the weekend's up. I've got to pull this thermometer off before I paint this part of the top of that grill. And I've also decided this is the base of the grill, and everything on the base is gray except for this door. And I need for all this stuff to be black also. So I'm gonna paint that black as well. I've got the spray paint I need. The paint job is not going to be new car quality paint job, but I can't wait for you guys to see what I'm going to do with this grill. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be fun. So and also I have all the parts I need, everything I need to get this grill back up to running in like new condition. I've got the parts. I bought those rails that I just showed you was the last minute thing. I didn't realize I needed them until I disassembled the grill and saw what was underneath, that they were just completely rusted out. The grease pan itself on this grill has a little rust on it, but instead of that grease pan is like $90 to replace that. And I decided I hit it with some steel wool and got most of the rust that I could off of it, and I just touched it up with paint, because that's not a part of the grill you can see from the outside. It's sitting down in that capsule, or in that cabinet. You can't really see it down there. And I will, if it becomes unusable at any point, which I don't think it's going to, I'll replace it. But I just didn't think that it was worth spending $90 to fix that. It's structurally sound. It doesn't have any problems that I could see, and it's going to work fine. So
what do you have invested in this thing now that you had to buy some extra parts?
Let's see. I spent $100 on the replacement grill grates. I spent more than I had to because I wanted some really beefy stainless steel grill grates, and the ones I bought, they have 9mm thick bars on them. They're incredibly heavy. And I'll show you those when I get the grill reassembled, but that was $100. I spent $100 there where I really only needed to spend $50. So I spent more than I needed to on that. So we're $100 there. The burner tubes, I bought a kit that has new burner tubes and new stainless steel flavorizer bars. That was $59 for that kit. And guys, these are also, none of this is Weber. This is all third party stuff that's less expensive cost wise than the genuine Weber replacement parts. But these appear to be as good a quality from what I can see so far. I'm not seeing any quality issues in anything I bought. So I'm at 160, $25 for those rails. So that'd be $185. So parts wise, I'm $185 in on top of the $100 that I spent for the grill. So I'm at $285 on this project. But I'm gonna be the paint. I bought paint, and I spent $58. I had to mail order some paint because I couldn't find the high temperature primer that I needed at any of the stores around here. They were all out of it. So I went ahead and ordered that, and the rest, I ordered some of the rest of the paint I needed. So I ordered $58 worth of paint. So what did I say? We're at 185.
That's around 230.
235, 240. And then I had two other cans of paint that were $10 a piece. So I'm at 260. I'm at 260 in stuff I've bought plus the 100 I paid for the grill. So I'm at $360 on this project, Jeff.
That's not
Uh,
bad.
I think I'll have 360. That's counting the paint. And I don't feel bad about that because this grill brand new is 619 at Lowe's. They still
Mhm.
sell this grill, and the brand new ones are $619. And also keep in mind, I'm spending more than I have to on this. I spent $50 more than I needed to on a replacement grill grate, and I'm spending a lot more than I need to on paint because, and you'll see why I'm spending more than I needed to on paint once I get it painted. So that'll give you some explanation there. But I could have shaved 50 off of that on the grill grate, and I could have shaved a 60 off of that on paint. So I could be $110 less into it than I am now if I had not chosen the heavy grill grates and the paint job that I want to put on it. So it's going to be fun. Uh, a Duquesne. Uh, I don't know a whole lot about Duquesne, but I know that when I lived at home with my mom and dad, we had a gas grill that was it was plumbed into the natural gas at the house, and it was a Duquesne. And the only thing that ever got replaced in that grill periodically was the grate at the bottom that held the. It had these briquette things, these like ceramic briquettes in it, Jeff. I don't
Yeah.
know what they were called. It was their version of what's a flavorizer bar. Those things would get hot, and then the grease drippings would drop down onto those and smoke and flare and whatnot. But it didn't have the flavorizer bars like these things have. But that grill, yeah, that grill was I think Dad finally did replace. He did replace that grill at some point with a Weber. He didn't. He had trouble with it, and actually, it came to be that replacing that thing, you had to get those at that time. I think from the natural gas company, and they were really expensive. Oddly enough, they were. I don't know why, but yeah, Jonathan, they weren't lava rocks. These were different than a lava rock. These were solid. They weren't real porous. They were. It,
Almost look like briquettes.
yeah, it looked more like the material. It looked and felt kind of like uh, the same sort of material that fireplace bricks are made out of. Fire bricks, that's
Hmm.
what they felt like. Uh, anyway, I haven't done much cooking this week either, guys, because I've been busy with no car and other stuff. My car's been in the shop this week because my air conditioning was giving me trouble, and I can't have that. Yeah, David, that's what they were. So yeah, they were white when they were new, but they turned black pretty quick. Well, there's just another picture of the bottom capsule of that grill. I made dinner last night, and I haven't done slot dogs in a while, so I wanted to do some. And Tanya loves these, and we decided to do bunless this time. But one of the things I noticed when I went to the grocery store, when we buy these Hebrew National hot dogs, and when we first started buying these, there's 8 of them in a pack, and then we noticed one time they had gone, the price didn't go up, but there was only 7 in the pack. But now there's only 6 in the pack. The pack's shrinking while the price doesn't seem to be going up any. But anyway, guys, this is a slot dog. I didn't really do a good job of showing you the slot dog device. That red thing behind here's got these crosshatch cutters where you just lay your hot dogs out and you push that down over it, and it puts that crosshatch pattern. You pull it off, flip it over, and do the same thing on the back side of these hot dogs. And what it does is creates these crosshatches where these hot dogs will open up and create a little bit more surface area for caramelization as you cook them. So I fired up my Camp Chef out here to about 425 and laid them in there. And this is after about 8 or 9 minutes. You can kind of see how those things open up. And it really allows these hot dogs to pick up a lot more flavor. And I'm a big fan of the Slot Dog. I don't have a link for you, but if you go to Amazon and search Slot Dog, all one word, you'll find it. And Jeff, that thing's gone up since I started getting these things. They were $15, but they've gone up to 20. So it's an inexpensive toy.
I don't know. I had that one that Steven gave us at Christmas time.
Yeah.
The one where the instructions say, "Do not insert any body parts."
Yeah. So at 10 minutes in or so, that's what these guys look like. So I pull them out, and I laid these guys in my little oval cast iron servers, those Lodge pans that we have, and I top these guys with a little bit of my homemade hot dog chili. And after that, my homemade hot dog chili is one of the things that I make that Tanya absolutely loves. This is one of her favorite things that I make. So of course it's got to be here. And then I put on a dollop of my homemade pimento cheese, which is another thing that I make that Tanya absolutely loves. I don't make a lot of things that Tanya loves when it comes to cooking, but these two things right here are in the top 5. So I set that up. I set it back in the grill and closed the grill up for 5 to 7 minutes to give that pimento cheese time to just get melty like that. David, hold that question. I'll tell you here in just a second. It's different. So that's what we have for dinner. And that's, it's a pretty good, easy meal. I think Tanya figured out that we were under 500 calories on that, and there was like 6 grams of carbs with that. So first of all, that's all the pictures I've got to show tonight. I don't have a bunch of stuff stacked up ready to go. Dave asked, what's hot dog chili? Okay, on the Man Cave Meals page yesterday, the Man Cave Meals Facebook page, I posted the pictures from this cook that you just saw, but I also posted a shot of the recipe for my hot dog chili and the recipe for that pimento cheese. Hot dog chili is like the kind of chili, it's the same kind of chili you might get on nachos. It's a chili that's it's a ketchup-based chili. Mine's got ground beef in it and onion and garlic and beer. I've got a little beer in there, but it's got a little yellow mustard in it also, which gives it a little tang, kind of like you might pick up from Sloppy Joe's. And it's what I call a condiment chili. It's not a chili that you would just put in a bowl and eat. It's not that kind of chili. I guess it could be if you really wanted to, but it more closely resembles. I don't want to compare my chili, Jeff, to Texas Pete, but it's that type of chili.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian says he's done that recipe, so that's good.
Timeout. I was calling timeout, and you did not see.
What's up?
We did not see that.
Okay, so here's the deal. John says that you would not eat it in a bowl. So the first time he made this chili, he made like a double batch. And at the end of the day, there was none left because my mom and then sister-in-law sat in there and ate it from the spoon. I mean, from the pot, the whole thing.
They cleaned out what I had left, eating it just plain, because I saved this stuff in quarter cup. The smallest mason jar that you can get. I put this in and I freeze it. I just throw them in the freezer, and I use it for that. So but this is not a chili I would eat in a bowl. But I guess Tanya's right. You might like it, and if you do,
really
that's fine. It's good. It is. It's delicious chili. Hank's gonna get him one. Hank's got a slot dog coming. So it's
okay, John. So you can put me back down. I figured out how to put myself up.
You can stick with us now. I'm done with the photographs. Like I said, I didn't bring a lot. I didn't bring a lot to the table here to talk about cooking wise tonight. I'll have more next week. I'll have at least 2 cooks to talk about next week, because I'm going to cook something for a local recipe contest that our local newspaper's running. I'm going to try to get that done over the weekend. I haven't completely decided what I'm going to do yet, but I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, Russ, it is your favorite dinner. That's our Valentine's Day meal, but the typical Valentine's Day meal, we put them on buns. We use those top sliced hot dog buns. But
And we'll
we
serve them
decided,
with Funyuns.
yeah, we decided to save the carbs on this meal and not use the buns, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm
think without
surprised
the
you said it
bun,
had 6 carbs on it. Where were those carbs coming from?
the
Let me
ketchup,
look. I don't know. I would have to look.
the ketchup in that chili's where the carbs came from. Because
Oh, okay, because you didn't use G. Hughes ketchup.
no, I could try that next time around, but
Yeah, I mean, I love that G. Hughes. It's as
there's a
good
little
as,
bit of onion. There's a little bit of onion in that chili.
well,
The
that'll give
hot
you a little
dog,
bit, but the amount
the
of
hot
onion
dog
that's in
might
there, I
have.
don't think it's going to give you a full carb.
Yeah, he ended up like with 2 carbs in the chili, and there was like 4 grams of carbs in
But this
the
is a
Hebrew
real small
National
serve.
drinks.
That amount of the
Mm,
amount of chili that's on there is only 2 or 3 tablespoons
yeah,
on each one of those, so it's not much.
that's what I
So
was saying about the carbs. I'm surprised that little bit.
there's no carbs whatsoever in the pimento cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the hot dogs have any carbs or not, Tanya. Did they register
It
any
said
carbs?
4. That's where we got most of our carbs from. There was
The
4 because
hot
we had
dogs
2
are
hot
Wow.
dogs. So there are 2 carbs per dog.
yeah.
So
So
we had 2 carbs for the chili.
that's a keto friendly meal. Even that's
Oh
more
yeah.
than just low carb. Uh, that's really super low carb. Uh, there's so much more you could do with this in terms of toppings. You know, you can deconstruct your favorite hot dog just like I've done here. You can make a Chicago dog this way. You can make your own dogs however you like it. And Cindy, I'm not ready to concede yet that Hebrew Nationals are the best. That's what
John,
Tanya
Cindy
likes.
is 100% correct here.
But since Tanya
I
likes
like the
them,
Hoffman German myself.
well,
Yeah,
I'm not
Cindy is
seeing those
100%
here.
dead
But
on.
I like Nathan's, but I also like the ballpark bun length.
Uh,
I'm not hard to please when it comes to hot dogs.
Nathan's do not sit well with me. I get
And
bad indigestion for days. I'll taste those. No.
Brian, I have made pimento cheese with the SPF 53. In fact, if you go to Lane's Barbecue's website, somewhere on there, I think he's got a recipe for his pimento cheese that uses that. And I've used SPF 53 in mine, but I typically don't anymore. I just put a little chipotle. I use chipotle powder. I use granulated garlic and granulated onion in mine. Pretty much that's all I do. But today, Jeff, I was sitting around. I'm glad he mentioned SPF 53. I was sitting around thinking about that because I'm thinking about making macaroni and cheese for this recipe contest that I'm going to cook for. And one of the best macaroni and cheeses I've ever made was that Sizzle Mac, where I used the Atlanta Grill Company Sizzle uh, seasoning in mine. And I think sometime either this weekend or this coming week, I'm going to try to come up with my own version of something that is a cross maybe between Sizzle and SPF 53 because I like that flavor. Those two have a similar flavor profile. There's a good bit in common there, and the commonality I think between the two is probably black pepper and cayenne pepper and garlic. So I need to and paprika. I need to have a look, but uh, yeah, SPF 53 would be good.
Yeah, just don't mess up the rest of the pimento cheese recipe. It stays, it's done. It does not need any more revisions.
Okay, John's got a question. Uh, how do you feel about using those spike tent probes in a steak on the grill and not flipping them? That's not something I would do, John. That's just not how I cook steaks. Uh, I I like a steak. I like my steaks to finish somewhere between medium rare and medium. which means I don't ever want my steak to go past about 140 internally. I'm happy with a steak that lands anywhere between 130 and 140 for a finishing temp, but I also like thicker steaks. And you could put one of those in it if you want to, but I wouldn't see any reason not to flip it. I'm not going to cook a no flip steak because, Jeff, what's my favorite part of a steak? You got to know this by now.
Sear.
The sear. And if I don't flip it, I'm not going to get a sear on both sides. I'm not your reverse sear guy. Everybody loves reverse sear, and I'm just not that.
I do the opposite of reverse sear. I like to sear first, then move it over to the indirect side.
That's what I do too, because I like the quality of the sear that I get better searing raw meat rather than searing meat that's already.
And you never overshoot your temp doing that.
Yeah,
way.
You don't.
The other way, you got to be careful that you don't overshoot.
I like cooking steaks on hard flat surfaces like the soapstone or a cast iron surface. And I like for that surface to be screaming hot before I start. I want that surface to be very well into the 5 to 550 degree temperature range. And I like to put down a little bit of ghee on that. And just as that ghee starts to smoke, I drop my steak on there. And in 2 minutes or so, I have the most beautiful Maillard reaction crust on that steak. And then I do the same thing again. I put it on a clear spot on, if I'm using a griddle or a large pan, you put your ghee down on a different part of the pan, flip it, and do the same thing. And the great thing about flat surface cooking on steaks is you can pick it up and look at it. And if it's not where you want it, you put it back down until it is. Use your eyes. Don't depend on a thermometer at that stage of the cook. I don't even put a probe or an instant read thermometer in my steak until my sear is where I want it. Because if the sear is no good, it doesn't matter what the internal temperature is for me. I've got to have that sear where it's going to be. And then by the time I get my sear where I want it, and if I've got and I don't like, most people are cooking 1-inch steaks if they're buying pre-cut steaks out of a grocery store cabinet. I like a minimum of 1.5 inches. And when I've got 1.5 inch steak, when my sear is where I want it on both sides, the internal temperature of my meat is usually around 90 to 95 degrees. So it's got to go indirect at that point to finish up. And guys, it's not necessary to go indirect at 250 degrees. You can put that steak indirect in a grill that is running a dome temperature of 350 or 400. You just got to keep your eye on it. It's not going to take long. It's going to take 10 minutes maybe at best to finish that steak off indirect. Would you agree with that, Jeff?
Yep.
It's quick. It doesn't take long, but that's how I love cooking steaks. And Jeff, we've cooked hundreds of steaks since we got into this hobby, and I've found a lot of, every time I think I've got something where I want it and a process together that I like, some new idea comes along, and it's gives me an idea to try. What was that last comment, Tanya? Scott's comment?
Yeah, he says he gets his grill up to 700 to 800 to sear. That's why he does the reverse sear, because it's harder to get the grill to come back down and cool off.
Right. Well, when I reverse sear, if I want to do that, I have the luxury of having more than one grill. I know everybody doesn't have more than one grill, but I got no problem firing up a Kamado Joe nice and hot with a soapstone and get that sear going. And while that's happening, I'll have my pellet grill running at 250, where if I want to go to that, I can go to a lower temperature grill to do it. Don't tie yourself to one grill if you've got more than one grill. There's no shame whatsoever in firing up 2 grills to do a reverse sear. The Kamados, as you all know, you can't cool one of them down quickly. When you've brought one of them up to searing temperature, it's not really that big of a deal. And the other thing, when I talk about searing on a Kamado, don't look at your dome thermometer. It's not a player in the game. It does not matter what that temperature says on that dome thermometer. It might say 250, it might say 300, it might say 600, but what matters is, are your coals red hot? Are they nice and hot? And if you've got your grill grate as close to those coals as you can get it comfortable, you don't want to, the dome temperature, if you're at 700 in the dome, you're probably over 1,000 degrees down at grate level above those hot coals. And in my opinion, that's too hot. If you've got any seasoning on that steak, you're going to char it at that point, and I don't like. It just depends on how you've prepped your steaks. But if you're searing on a flat surface like cast iron or soapstone, if you put that ghee down there, when you lay that steak down there, it's not going to get hot enough to scorch any seasonings you've got on there, unless you've let that soapstone go to 700 or 800 degrees. Doesn't know how to light his gasser. But a gas grill is a perfect option for the cool side of a reverse sear. I wouldn't have any problem with that. But then again, most people would, because Jeff, what is the number one reason that people choose to reverse sear? What's the advantage you get from reverse sear?
What's the advantage? Well, like I said, I don't reverse sear because I don't like it. So you tell me.
Smoke.
I
If
get
you want,
smoke from not doing a reverse sear, so I'm not understanding.
well, you wouldn't
why
get
you
that
say
smoke. You wouldn't get that smoke flavor from doing the slow part of it in a gas grill. But
No.
I don't know. I hate to say this because it's really hard to say sometimes, but I don't need everything I cook to have a smoke flavor. I like smoke just as much as the next guy, but my steak doesn't need to be smoked.
No.
Some of the best steaks I've ever had have had no smoke flavor whatsoever, like you get from a reverse sear.
Well, speaking of which, John, have you ever done a butter poached tenderloin? Beef
I have
tenderloin?
not. I've seen Chef
You need to try
Eric's.
that.
I did a butter poached. I did a video on a butter poached tri-tip.
Oh, this is
I
good.
cooked that tri-tip in butter, and when I got it up to, it's basically like I did it basically like a reverse sear. I poached that tri-tip in butter until I got my temperature up to around 100 or 105, and then I pulled that thing off and seared it, and it was good. But that butter, I also infused a little garlic. I had some garlic in that butter as well, so I don't know that. I don't know. It's good. I don't know that it's, to me. I don't. I'll go ahead and say it. I don't think it's worth it. Have you done it?
Yes, on beef tenderloin, it's absolutely worth it.
How
It's
much butter did it take you to do that?
Pound
Probably a
and a
few
half of
pounds.
butter to do a whole tenderloin.
3 or 4 pounds.
No, a pound and a half of butter to do a whole
What
tenderloin.
did you cook it in? Or did you
I
just keep
take the
turning it?
aluminum pan and I mold it up so it's not
Okay.
spread out. That
Yeah.
helps reduce the amount of butter you need, because otherwise you're just wasting butter. But if you take and you
Well,
fold that aluminum pan up nicely so that the tenderloin just fits in the bottom of that, put about
think about this for a minute. You could pull off the butter poach with a very small amount of butter and a sous vide setup. You could put that tenderloin in pieces in a sous vide or in a vacuum seal bag and use one stick of butter probably in each bag, and put your sous vide bath at, I don't know, 165. I don't know. You could put it at whatever temperature you wanted to finish the meat at. You could put it at 130 and leave it in there for 3 or 4 hours. It's just an idea. I don't. Would you get the same result doing that?
I don't know, because I say I get the smoke flavor, my tenderloin, because I'll add some chunk wood in it. But
Yeah.
I say doing that's the only thing that I'll do a butter bath on is the tenderloin, a
Right.
full beef tenderloin.
Right.
Steaks, I'm doing them hot.
Well, I've
Well,
seen Chef Eric do the strips that way.
John,
Yeah.
I'm replying to this John G here, John Grayman. John, here's something you can try. Now, one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life was a real simple steak. You know, it was just grilled like you'd normally grill the steak, but it was topped with a dollop of Boursin cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's really easy. I mean, you know, it's not super duper fancy. You can get it everywhere, but it was like incredibly tasty, and it really elevated the level of the steak. And
in
you know,
world,
for me,
yeah, in the world of fine steaks, there's a lot of people that'll top that steak with a dollop of various compound butters. And a lot of those compound butters will have cheese in them. And some of the best ones that I've had have had blue cheese in them. Blue cheese, compound butters. Black truffle compound butter is another good one. And the black garlic compound butter also is amazing on
garlic
steaks.
is off the hook.
Yeah, I did
and that would be, you know, something that's really easy. And like you said, I think you said you were going camping. You know, that would be something that was fairly easy. Make up some compound butter and, you know, check it in your cooler.
Compound butters are easy to make, and they keep fairly well because you can freeze that. You know, you can make your compound butter, roll it up, and throw it in the freezer and pull it out as you need it. And but the black, that time I made the black, Tanya remembers the time I made the black garlic because I stunk up the house. Because I had to keep it in my dehydrator down here for 3 weeks.
Like ever.
And during the first 10 days of it, it smelled pretty good.
Let me tell you what, there was 0% chance that any type of vampire was going to come into the yard.
When black garlic's done properly, those garlic cloves turn black and they're like a paste. You can smear that when it comes out. It's what I did. It's really hard to chop it up. The best way to do it is probably take those garlics out and throw them in the freezer for an hour and then try to chop them into bits. And then you would stir that into some softened butter and then reform it. But that black garlic butter is incredible as a compound butter on top of a steak. So they make this black garlic. I can't remember what they call it. It looks like a big crock pot, or it looks like a one of those instant pots. It's just larger, and it's designed for making black garlic. And I've been wanting to get one of these things because if I get one, I can set it outside and make the black garlic outside where it doesn't stink up the house. But one of these days I might pick one of those up because black garlic is a treat, and it is
delicious.
It is, and there's so many cool things to do with it. I mean, Darren Wilson at Fire and Water Cooking has made some amazing stuff with black garlic, and everything he does, I think, has black garlic in it.
Yeah, I think just about all his rubs and sauces have black garlic in them.
Yeah, and it's all good stuff. And I've made it.
If you haven't had it, you need to try it. Black garlic adds a interesting umami to everything. It's just
Tanya, didn't I find that jar of powdered black garlic at World Market?
I believe so.
If you've got one of those cost plus World Markets near you anywhere, I'm pretty sure that's where I found this thing. But let me tell you something. I opened that and I used some of it and I put the lid back on it and didn't open it again for a month or two. And that stuff was hard as a rock when I opened it back up again. It needs to be, you need to make sure that it's dry. And I would actually recommend parceling that out in vacuum seal bags if you buy it, because that stuff hardened up so hard that I couldn't break it apart with my hands. I had to put it in the spice grinder to get it back into a situation where I could use it. But I don't know that I've ever seen black garlic in clove form for sale anywhere.
I don't think so.
There's a couple of places online where you can mail order black garlic, though, if you want to try it, but it's expensive. You'll pay $8 to $10 for one bulb, if I remember correctly. In fact,
well, John G., good luck on your hunt. If I forget to tell you before the end of the video, I hope you have a lot of success.
Yeah.
and
Somebody going
mostly
home?
really just enjoy it. Yeah, John G is. That's why we were talking about simple things to do for steak. He's going to take
Yeah.
his Joe Jr. with him. He's going to be gone for like 2 months.
That's another thing I should talk a little bit about. Jeff, if you were going to travel and take a grill with you, would you take the Joe Jr.? Would you think that'd be a good grill?
I would
Yes, I
take
do.
the PK. I'd take the PK Go.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, I do have a Yeti haul. I do. And it's nice. If you're thinking if you want a cooler that'll roll and roll easily, have a look at that. But I'm also going to say this: I have seen some really nice coolers out there lately that are not Yeti that look really good, and I would before I would fork out the money for a Yeti haul. I want you to go to Academy or somewhere else that sells Igloo and have a look at that one cooler that Igloo makes that's it's made like the Yeti Hall. I would buy that in a heartbeat probably. I think the only advantage the Yeti might have over that Igloo is how long it might hold ice. I don't know that the Yeti is quite, or the Igloos might not have as long an ice time as that Igloo does, but that Igloo looks like a really nice cooler, and I think that Igloo's in the $200 range. It's less than half the price of the Yeti. It may be slightly smaller than the Yeti Hall, but it's there's a lot of coolers out there worth looking at, and I would look at anything that Academy's got in the Magellan line. Also, there's Yeti's got a lot of good competition out there now. They've been out there long enough that there's enough companies out there making roto molded coolers now that,
Hmm.
that there's a lot of competition out there for Yeti. So, but I got no complaints about the haul. I don't, and I'll also admit that I was provided with that haul. I did not have to buy that on my own, and it's not that I would have bought that. I think that's a really right size cooler mostly. I've got a Yeti Tundra 65 that's too big. I wish I hadn't bought it. I wish I could find somebody that has a Tundra 45 that would make me an even trade. I'd rather have the 45 than the 65. But Tanya, you remember when we bought that? I bought it. It was on sale when I bought it, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't see sales on Yeti stuff very often. But it was 25% off, so it wasn't much more expensive than the 45. But the
Right.
65 is a little bit large to fit behind the back seat of my car. It fit a little bit better in the Kia than it does in this one. And Bandit, I haven't had the broil. I haven't cooked on the broiler in quite a while. I've got that. What's that broiler I bought called, Jeff?
Auto
This,
Wild.
Auto Wild.
yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
I've got it. I moved it inside. It's in my basement. I have not cooked on it in quite a while. It's I have had a difficult time learning how to tame that heat. It's maybe I'll get it back out sometime. It's it's
The Auto Wild is something you do not leave unattended.
no because we're
You have
talking
to be right on top. You have to be right on top of your meat.
right. But one of the things that thing's good for, it's good for putting a sear. Like if you want to do reverse searing, the Auto Wild's a perfect thing to do that. It'll do that so quickly it'll blow your mind. I'm
Well,
talking
it's
if you've got your steak ready to go to the sear part on a reverse sear, if you've got that Auto Wild fired up and running wide open, I'm talking uh, 20 to 30 seconds max at the heat level that thing puts out. It's stupid hot.
well, like I said, John, in the restaurant business, we used to use that, to start our steaks, and then we finished them off in the oven.
Hmm.
I mean, that's you never cook a full steak on it. If you do, your chances of cooking a successful steak are slim.
Well, you can. Uh,
No, I didn't say you couldn't. I'm saying
yeah,
it's slim. If you lose concentration on something else,
it's a technique that you just have to learn because for that first part of the sear, you want those IR burners up top running wide
yep.
open, and you want your steak up close to it. But once that sear is done, you've got to lower the steak down to the bottom and then turn those burners back to about 25% to finish it. And it's just a method that I haven't spent enough time learning how to do it. And I've done a lot of things in it. I've done some fish under that broiler that was off the hook. I did some
No
Chilean
pun
sea bass.
intended.
Yeah, yeah, no pun intended. Fish, yeah. See, my
Off the
wife,
hook. Fish.
she's,
Good
yeah,
one, Tanya.
and I did some Chilean sea bass in it. I did some of that. Tanya, what was that fish that we bought, that I bought in the bags at Costco? The cobia, was it cobia? Those fillets, they were really good. I can't remember. That's part of what I lost when I left the freezer door open that time. I had to throw that out
Yeah.
too.
I don't
But
remember.
yeah, they were good. But it's good at searing. Uh,
Well, we have our freezer problems under control now, don't we, John?
I do, and I bought an alarm, a thermometer with a
Mhm.
probe that runs in it that's got an alarm on it. It's not Wi-Fi connected, but it's already saved me once because I let that door not shut again. And when that thermometer registered 32 degrees, it started beeping, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but I found it, and I had the door. The exact same thing had happened. I've got some of those ice blocks down in that bottom door, and it had kept my door from closing on the freezer.
Yeah. I got the Wi-Fi version, so it tells me wherever I'm at, and it
Yeah,
has saved me twice too.
mine saved me once so far, but I I didn't buy a Wi-Fi one. Uh,
Well, I got the 2 pack of the Wi-Fi ones, John. I think for what was it, $35 or $40.
well, I think I paid $30 for the thermometer I have, and it's a ThermalWorks, but it doesn't have any Wi-Fi. I don't think the fish I bought was Corvina. It was something else. I don't remember what it was, but they were good. Uh, I let my Costco membership lapse. It's just we weren't going down there enough because Costco's an hour away from here, and uh, my Sam's Club. Well, I was going to Costco mostly to buy things that I couldn't get at Sam's Club, and what was that? Pork belly was one of them. Um, what else were we buying at Costco, Tanya, that I couldn't buy at Sam's? That English cheddar cheese they've got at Costco is really good.
Yeah,
God, yeah.
I can't buy that at Sam's Club, and
That
it's
was
way
good
better than
stuff.
that Irish cheddar that Sam's Club has. The only thing I don't like about that
Good
English
stuff.
cheddar is I like to smoke that stuff or cold smoke it, but it's real crumbly. When you cut that cheese, it wants to
But
crumble
it
apart.
still is
Yeah,
amazing.
it is.
Smoked. Holy cow.
But
That's
Jeff, I've
some
been
good
looking at
stuff.
this cold smoker that's out there. That Smoke High
That's the
SMOKAI
one, Sam.
Coastal. Yeah, Sam, that's the one. That English cheddar is crazy.
God, it is
It's some
really
of the best
good.
cheddar cheese I've ever had. But
yep.
Jeff, that if I can get a hold of that smoke, I actually sent them a request and I didn't get a response from them. But it's not real expensive. But it would be super easy to mount this thing using the Kamado mount on the side of the cold smoker you built. It would be perfect. It would make a perfect mount, and it would also work perfectly on the Kamado because they've got an adapter thing that you set on there where it'll sit right in the bottom vent of most Kamados, and I want to get one of them. They're like $119. They're not as expensive as some of the other ones I've seen, but I'm thinking about picking one up. Somebody in here bought one. I can't remember if it was Hank. Somebody that follows us bought one of these things, and I haven't gotten a update yet on whether or not they are happy with it. But cold smoking, most of the cold smoking that I cold smoke two things, or I cold smoke three things. One of which I haven't done in quite a while. I cold smoke my bacon, and the temperature that I'm cold smoking bacon at's not a real concern. It doesn't matter if that gets up to 110 or 120. But the cheese, I like to not let my cheese get up over 70. So I've got
Yeah.
a cold smoked cheese in cooler weather, and so. But this cold smoker will work better because the combustion's going on outside the smoking chamber. A lot of that heat's rising out of the top before the smoke, and it's not pumping as much heat into there. So I want to try it. It's another one of these uh, designs that uses a tube, and you put either pellets or sawdust in it, and it's using an aquarium air pump, an adjustable flow aquarium air pump. So what else have we missed anything, Tanya?
No, I think we've got it. John G has had some issues with his meter probes, but
Okay, what's that?
you know, that's something that we've heard about from quite a few people.
Okay, John, are you talking about the meter block? Did you buy the block or did you buy the meter plus? Uh, and I reached out to that company today. In fact, that Chef IQ about their Wi-Fi one to see if I can get them to send me one. And if they do, I'm going to do a demo on it. But if they don't, I'm probably going to buy one because it's an $80 single probe Wi-Fi wireless thermometer, and you can get two additional probes for it for another $80. So at 160 or so, you can have a three probe setup for that. I'm curious about it because the price point for the single probe is lower than Meter Plus that's Bluetooth, and it's only slightly more expensive than the Temp Spike. The Temp Spike fluctuates in price. You'll find that thing from anywhere between $59 and $89 on Amazon, depending. So John says he bought two of the individual ones. So I'm assuming that John's is Bluetooth. And John, I've never had a Bluetooth one that I've been 100% happy with. The connectivity for Bluetooth, once you come inside the house with your phone from the grill outside, it's marginal. The 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 meter, or not the meter, the ThermoPro Temp Spike that I have works significantly better than the Meter Plus in terms of our Bluetooth connectivity, but it's still not perfect. I just don't think Bluetooth, I think, is a good solution if you want to use it in your indoor oven because you're not going to be that far away inside the house from your Bluetooth thermometer if you're cooking in your indoor oven. But I don't think it's the best solution out there for grilling outside. And I know there's probably somebody here that's had great experiences with it. I'm just not one of them. I've got the Meter Plus and I've got the Temp Spike. I also have the Meat Stick. Now the Meat Stick setup that I have is Wi-Fi, but I was so disappointed with the software, the user interface on the Meat Stick. I didn't like it at all, and the hardware is kind of flimsy looking and flimsy feeling on the Meat Stick. But the Meat Stick has the advantage that their probes are waterproof, which means you could use it theoretically in a sous vide bag or in a deep fryer. So that's kind of an advantage. So Cindy says the meter on Bluetooth sucks inside also. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I get so many mixed reviews on the meter that I don't know what to think about it. But what I do know is that I am not going to spend $369 out of my pocket to figure out if the meter block's worth having or not, because I'm fairly confident that the meter block's going to be okay for me. I'm not going to say that it would be okay for everybody, but I have incredibly strong Wi-Fi signal out in my grilling area. I've got better than average out there. When Tanya and I, back when we were doing iCommand beta testing, Jeff, I upgraded our in-home Wi-Fi. We had our Tanya. We had what kind of router? We had a Cisco router of some sort. What do you remember? What it was? It's the one your mom's got now, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. It
It's
was one of the nicer Linksys. Yeah.
it was a Linksys dual band, but it was a single point.
It was a
And
tri-band actually.
was it a tri-band? Okay, we got it was one. And yeah, I remember that now because that one was expensive when we got it. Uh, it was the top of the line one when we got it, but we went with the Linksys Velop when we upgraded, and that was expensive. That was north of 450, I think. That we got a three node Linksys. It was 400 and some dollars. I don't remember exactly. I bought it at Best Buy. I'd have to go back and look it up because I bought it online and went down there and picked it up. But it's a mesh, and I've got our house is 3 levels. We've got this man cave level in the basement. We've got our main floor, and then the bedrooms upstairs, and we've got a mesh node on every floor. And uh, my signal strength out here on the deck, which is just my from where I'm sitting right here, all of my grills are within 25 feet of me from where I sit right now, and the node is right behind me. I've got really good strength out there, and I'm fairly confident I would be successful with the meter block. But it's like I said, guys, it's just one of these situations. It's a lot of money. It, if that thing at $369, I would be all over it if it would also control a grill for me. If it had a fan blower somewhere that I could run a grill with it, or in a wireless situation, I should be able to run more than one grill with it. I should be able to have a wirelessly controlled fan, where I could control multiple grills. How about that? That sounds like something cool, doesn't it, Jeff?
Yep.
The meter block, why couldn't, if the meter block can talk wirelessly or via Bluetooth to those 4 probes, why couldn't it talk wirelessly to a couple fans? And why couldn't I have 2 or 3 Kamados running uh, and controlling all that? That'd be something I'd buy. I would throw the money at it at that point. So I saw Smoking Tar Heel come in here. Cindy, the Smobot's still working really well. I've not got any problems with the Smobot. Uh, One of the things I was wanting to do that I haven't done yet, and maybe this will be the second cook I do for next week. I was wanting to cook a pizza on the Kamado Joe using the Smobot. I was wanting to set up my classic, probably set up my classic 2 because the 2 is the one I cook everything but meat on. I'll put the Smobot on it and run it at 5 or 550. I'll have to look and see how high. I don't know what the top end temp I can set up on the Smobot is, but whatever it is, I'll set it at that, and we'll cook a pizza at that temperature and see how well the Smobot does at high temperature. I know it does well at low temps. It keeps. I've shown you guys some of the graphs that I've had. It keeps a pretty straight line there. It does an amazing job at controlling the airflow without a fan. So I have no complaints whatsoever about the Smobot. Uh, One of the things I'm going to do, and one of the things I told the Smobot guys that I wanted to do, is I want to run it on my Weber kettle. And after I do the pizza cook and make a video doing that, I'm going to move it. I've got this 26-inch Weber kettle. I have the material I need to move the Smobot to that, but they told me that I needed to change. There's a setup change on the Smobot that needs to happen before I move it to the kettle. Jeff, they've got a different algorithm that they use to run it on a Weber kettle. So I don't know how big a difference it makes or how big a deal it is, but apparently they felt like it needs a little programming change. And he told me he would tell me how to do that or help me do that before I move it over to the kettle. And we'll do some low and slow on the kettle with the Smobot after I do the pizza cook on the Kamado Joe. And there's also a possibility I may not get that done before we meet here because Tanya and I are going to an event in Atlanta on Wednesday. So I don't know, maybe I can get it done Monday. Like I said, I'm not working this weekend, so I've got more free time than I normally have. So maybe we can go ahead and do the pizza over the weekend. And we're going to an event in Atlanta, and I'm hopefully going to be able to include a stop at the Buford Highway Farmers Market before I come home. I'm hoping I can do that.
I
So
always love the Buford Highway Farmers Market.
yeah, I know there's probably somebody here tonight with us that's in the Atlanta area. Yeah, Daniel's comment here. Uh, this Daniel Fireboard, I'm hoping to see something from Fireboard because I had heard some things about a year ago, or maybe even more, about some stuff that Fireboard was doing, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it materialize yet, so I'm not sure. But I'm really hoping to see something new or some upgrades coming from Fireboard. I'm I'm using the Fireboard 2 Pro. I've still got my original Fireboard, but I gave my Fireboard 2 Drive to a friend of mine a while back, and I'm almost regretting it because I have discovered that the Fireboard 2 Pro, the temperature probes, those K-type uh, thermocouples that come with the Pro, they're not quite as durable as I had hoped they would be. That was one of the things I liked about the 2 Pros that use those, and they're rated for higher temperatures, which they are. But 2 of the 3 probes that came with mine have failed already. I've failed an ambient probe, and one of my meat probes has failed. I replaced the ambient probe, and I'm not going to replace the failed meat probe until my other one fails because I rarely ever temp more than one piece of meat at a time. But those things are $35 a piece to replace. They're not inexpensive. So, but
Well, I'm
I
curious to understand what he means by he helps Fireboard figures it out in one day. I'm
he
not
may be
exactly
talking
sure.
about Daniel. May be talking about Daniel. You want to clarify that for us? He may be talking about being able to control more than one pit at a time because that's what I was talking about. Montana Kev, I've got a couple of baking steels. In fact, uh, Andrus gave me a baking steel early on in his business. I reached out to him when he first came into business, and he gave me one to use. And I've done some video content. It's probably back on the Kamado Joe channel somewhere. Uh, but he asked me what I wanted. Oh, Daniel's asking about Fireboard having wireless probes. Yeah, that would be nice if they would do that. I agree. But the the baking steel is an absolute great tool to have. I've got a rectangular one here that we use in the oven sometimes. In fact, both of my baking steels, I can see them. I didn't keep the first one I had. I gave it to a friend because when Andrus asked me what I wanted, I gave him the dimensions, and I asked for a 15-inch one because it was the right size I needed for the classic Joe. But I asked for a thickness. I think I asked for a half inch, and half inch, guys, is way too thick for a bacon steel. It's or maybe I asked for thicker. I don't remember what it was, but the preheat time on that thing was crazy. It was way higher than it needed to be. But bacon steels, in my opinion, are excellent. I have no complaints about them. I don't use them maybe as often as I should, but they make great pizza. They take longer to preheat than a pizza stone does, but they have more thermal mass and they cook faster. You definitely will see a quicker cooking time on a bacon steel at the same temperature than you will from a stone. So if you want,
And less recovery time.
yeah, definitely less recovery time, but it's I don't know. Maybe I'll get this one back out, and I don't know if I think about it. Maybe I'll just use that bacon steel when I do the Smobot pizza since I haven't used it in a while. I'm glad you brought that up because I had 2 pizza stones, but one of my pizza stones is broken. But I forgot. It just totally left my mind that I have that bacon steel here. I can use that and don't need to buy another pizza stone. But it does take longer to preheat. And guys, when you're cooking pizzas on your Joe, you gotta let the stone preheat. And Jeff, how long do you like to preheat your stone?
Minimum of 45 minutes.
I'm with you on that. And sometimes I'll even go an hour. And when I
Mhm.
say preheat, if I want to cook a pizza at 550 degrees, once my grill hits 550 degrees, that's when the preheating
Right.
starts. I want that thing to ride in there for 30, 45 minutes at a minimum once my grill's up to 550. I want that pizza stone to be 550 degrees all the way through, not just on the surface. It's important for that stone to be preheated like that.
Absolutely, because if you don't preheat it like that, as soon as you put that dough on, you're going to watch that temperature just take a dive.
Yeah. So let the stone preheat. And if yeah, it does use charcoal. Cooking pizza is not a low charcoal consumption project.
No,
It just isn't. Yep. So, all right. Well, guys, this Heaven Hill. If you can get your hand, if you like bourbon and can get your hands on a bottle of this, I highly recommend it. This is good stuff. It is definitely a keeper. I probably should have bought another bottle of that today, Tanya, but today I picked up I picked up an extra bottle of this at $22. This benchmark foolproof because they said they didn't think they were going to be getting any more of that for a while, and I know that's good. That's the best $22 bottle of bourbon I've ever tasted. It's got the beginnings of Stag Junior. You can taste the Stag Junior there. Sam, which one are you talking about? The Heaven Hill? This is Heaven Hill bottled in bond. Uh, that's what I'm drinking this evening. And the one I picked up another bottle of today is this benchmark full proof. Uh, I now have two and a partial bottles of this one for the shelf because I want to keep that on my shelf all the time if I can. I like full proof bourbons. I've come to appreciate those because it's just like, I guess the best way to describe a foolproof bourbon is if you're a craft beer drinker and set a glass of, what's a good way to do, pick your favorite pilsner, for instance, or no, yeah, a pilsner would be a good comparison. Pick your favorite craft brew pilsner, put it in one glass, and put Budweiser in a glass beside it, and taste the difference in the two. One of them, they both have similar characteristics, but that craft beer's got more flavor. It's a more body. It's Jeff. What are the words I'm looking for here to describe the difference between foolproof and 80
oh,
proof?
I think full body is really the ticket right there. I mean,
Yeah, and it's got more
it's night and day
explosive flavor.
difference.
Yeah, they're higher alcohol content, and once you get used to that, though, it's see that foolproof benchmark's 125 proof. That's 62.5% compared. This one's 100 proof. Anything you find that's labeled as bottled in bond is always going to be 100 proof. But the typical benchmark, the bottom end benchmark, is 80 proof. It's this is the $12 bottle, and but that foolproof, a lot of the stuff that especially the stuff I drink here on Thursday night, I'm into the barrel proof stuff. I just really like it. Yeah, Cindy, we call it yellow fizzy beer around here. It's it's the light American lager is what Budweiser, Miller, Coors, all that stuff is. It tastes it has a beer taste to it, but it's weak and but it's the top selling stuff in the country. It's what the people buy. I guess Budweiser found that out pretty quickly here in recent months. Uh, how big their user base is, and how many people are buying that, or how many people are now are not buying it. But you know, I've been into craft beer for nearly 30 years. I had a good friend way back in my early 20s that taught me how to make beer, and once I started home brewing, the beer world changed for me dramatically, and I didn't realize that beer could taste like that. And one of the things I really don't like is these craft beers that are aged in bourbon barrels. Or, Jeff, have you ever had a craft beer that's been aged in a bourbon barrel? It upsets me even more now than it did then. Now that I'm actually into good bourbon, the every time I taste one of those beers, it makes me think that that's a beer that's trying to be a bourbon.
And failing miserably at it.
Awesome, Kev. I'm glad that I've been helpful. That's what I enjoy doing. The comments like that help keep me going. I was telling Tanya, we were talking about that recently. I get a comment every now and then that really makes me realize that if I die tomorrow, I've done something good. I've left something good behind for somebody. My life
Well,
wasn't meaningless.
John, don't die tomorrow.
Okay, I will try not to, but I don't care about having a tombstone with an epitaph on it. As long as somebody remembers that guy that taught them how to grill, I'll be happy with that. Help. You know, it's fun. I've had a lot of fun learning myself. So yeah, Hank, glad you could make it with us tonight. I like teaching, and I keep telling Tanya I'd love to retire to a teaching job, but you know what it takes, guys, to teach in a community college? It's crazy. I can't teach a class in a community college that would transfer to a 4-year school unless I've got a master's degree in that area, and I don't. So what did Tar Heel say? Been helpful to cheapo vision. It's not about the grill, man. It's not about the grill, and that's one of the things that hurt me deeply. Uh, Way back when I first started out with my char grill or Acorn, when Bobby Brennan at Kamado Joe convinced me to come on board with those guys and cook exclusively on Kamado Joe, and then make video content exclusively for the Kamado Joe channel, I upset a lot of my audience. I lost a lot of audience when I did that because a huge majority of my audience at that time was cooking on Kamados or on Acorns. And I couldn't convince a lot of those people that it doesn't matter which grill you're using, I'm still going to be teaching and showing you the same things. You'll be able to take anything I do on a Kamado Joe and do it on an Acorn. It's just not the same grill. And I bet caught a lot of heat over that, Jeff. You remember that? Were you and I, did we know each other back then?
No, not back then.
Uh,
That's a little before my time.
yeah, but I've thought about several times about bringing another Acorn here, but I just don't think I'm going to do it. I've learned some things. Actually, I don't know why I didn't think about it when I had my Acorn. It's probably because I just didn't have enough Kamado experience. But um, James Mack, Smoking Dad Barbecue, brought an Acorn up to his place for a while, and he solved 90% of the Acorn's problems by putting gasket material between the dome and the base and the ash pan in the base, because it's got gasket material on it, but it's like a real loose braid oven gasket, and they're not airtight. And the biggest problem the Acorn has is that it's not airtight. So yeah, he loves his Kamado Joe Jr. I don't dislike the Kamado Joe Jr. I like the Kamado Joe Jr. What I hate is the stand that it's in. And I would still have my Kamado Joe Jr. if Kamado Joe would have provided some sort of stand upgrade for it where you didn't have to be sitting on a stool or on your knees to work at it. And
Works fine in the Kamado Joe 3 stand.
It does, but it's ugly, and I hate that. I did that for a while, and I don't like the way it looks. There are all kinds of workarounds. I didn't want to work around. I like the really right solution, and that's not the really right solution for me. And
John,
for
does
what?
it elevate the grill? Yes.
Uh,
Is it stable? Yes. Satisfied all my requirements.
well, see, your requirements and mine are different, though. For a while, I got a couple of cinder blocks and put a couple of 2x4s or a couple of 4x4s in some cinder blocks and set it on there and tie wrapped it to the cinder blocks where it was at a nice working height. That worked. That met those requirements, but it was ugly. I just didn't like it.
All you had to do is paint it red, John, and it would have been just fine.
Yeah, well, I didn't like it. Uh, the Big Green Egg folks have got this right, and I'm not afraid to say that. The
Oh,
mini
they have a great stand for their little one.
yeah, the
Hmm.
Mini Max, that Mini Max, and I think their other real small one. There's a stand and it's two pieces though, which makes it expensive. You've got the stand and you've got the cradle that it sits in, and in order you can use that setup for the Joe Junior, but I think you're spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to get that set up,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly. And it'll work, but I just felt guilty about setting a Kamado Joe in a Big Green Egg stand. So thanks, Levi. That's what it's all about. If your family likes what you're doing, that's what matters. Yeah, heck yeah. But it's back to what we were originally talking about using a Kamado Joe for camping. My experience with the Joe Junior, it's not it's small enough that you can do that, but it's heavy. It's still heavy. That thing weighs 65 or 70 pounds with the stand, if not maybe a little more. But
Hmm.
I think there are some better options for camping out there. And man, I have a really hard time. Weber Weber makes this grill called the Jumbo Joe, and it's a portable 18-inch grill that's a tabletop setup. They've got their Smoky Joe, their small round kettle that's a 13 or 14 inch. It's about the same size cooking grate as the Joe Junior, but it's not really big enough. It's big enough for grilling. It's not really big enough for smoking so much. But the 18-inch Jumbo Joe is, and that grill's less than $100, and it's very lightweight. It's very easy to work with. And if I was camping and wanted to take a portable grill with me, that Weber Jumbo Joe is the one I would be all over. Have
I
you
like the
seen that?
PK Go. Yeah, I've seen it, but I still like that PK Go.
I do. The PK Go would be my second choice. I've got the PK Go, and I bought the PK Go. I paid for that. That was not provided for me, but I got the PK Go when it first came out. And Jeff, have you seen the price tag on that thing lately? It's
No,
it's it's a lot more expensive than when I bought mine. I got mine with the flip kit for like 269, and I think that grill's solidly more expensive than that now.
well, when I picked it up, it was right at 300.
Uh, let's see what it is. But that PK Go is an amazing portable grill for sure. Let
I
me
like the fact that the lid it folds over so you actually
yeah.
double your grilling area, and you can do offset.
I can't type tonight. This is not my ergonomic keyboard out here.
I'll tell you what. Now, John, I'm glad to hear you say that. After you get used to an ergonomic keyboard, you try to type on a regular keyboard. It's not a pretty picture.
Yep, it's not. Uh, okay. Atlanta Grill Company's got this guy for 337, but It apparently is on sale because it was $3.99 the last time I looked at it. But
Right, and that's what the normal price is, $3.99. They have it on sale for $3.77
I don't think
or
this includes the
$3.37.
flip. No, it does. It includes the flip kit. But
Right.
I need to do some more cooking on this guy. I haven't cooked on it in a while, but I did keep this one because, like Jeff said, this is an amazing portable grill. It's heavier than it's heavier than a typical portable grill, but you know it's aluminum. It's a cast aluminum top and bottom. But
You
this
don't have to
grill,
worry about it breaking or denting.
no, yeah, it's
I bought that one for my friend who's got an RV.
yeah.
Gave it to him, and he loves it. I mean, he uses it for all his cooking. He's got the griddle attachment that goes on it now, so he's
I
making
made a
breakfast with it.
I made a walk around demo video on this, and I think if I remember correctly, the demo video I did on this guy is on the Man Cave Meals channel and not on the Atlanta Grill Company channel. I think I put it on the Man Cave Meals channel because I bought this one myself. This one was not given to me, but it's on one of the two channels. If you go look, I've done a walk around demo, and this guy's nice. And I've done several cooking videos on that one as well. And in fact, I did some lamb chops on that one, or I did a rack of lamb on it, a whole rack of lamb, seared it. But this guy's amazing. So that's a great grill if you want to go portable. But that thing still weighs twice as much as that Jumbo Joe 18-inch grill does. But that one. If I was going portable, that one would be the one I would take. If I'm going camping, which I don't camp, my idea of camping is in a Hilton somewhere. Tanya and I camp in hotels, and there's usually a bar or a restaurant fairly close by where we camp. But I don't I don't know what other people do when they're camping. And guys, when you go camping, are you want to smoke a pork butt? Are you wanting to cook ribs, or what? Are you wanting to grill?
John, when I was camping with scouts, I did everything from Dutch oven cooking to
Yeah,
smoking to making manicotti, stuffed shells, you name it. I did it.
right. But it might.
Cornish
I
game
don't know.
hens.
Yeah, if I was gonna, I could smoke easily in the 18-inch Weber kettle. You set up what they call the minion method. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with that. It's something that comes out of the kettle world, but there's plenty of easy ways to do low and slow smoking in a Weber kettle. But the thing about the kettle is you've got the Weber kettle is why this phrase exists, and I know you've heard it. It's if you're looking, you ain't cooking, and that holds true in the Weber kettle world. Every time you open the lid on a Weber kettle, you're adding 10 minutes or more to your cook. You got to keep that lid closed. They don't recover their heat anywhere near the amount of time you recover the heat in a Kamado that's adequately preheated. And also, it's harder to control the temperature in it if you keep opening the lid. The influx of oxygen it just runs them hot. So anyway, I guess that's probably all we're going to do tonight.
Cool.
Anything else? Uh, Smoking
Well,
Tar Heel says he
I have a
doesn't.
new shirt if everybody can read it.
We the people
Will
will
barbecue.
with you. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap things up, and next week I'll have something to get. I think I probably will try to do. I'll try to get that pizza video done before Tanya and I leave on Wednesday, and we'll do a pizza on the classic with the Smobot. And
Okay, now, John, if you're leaving on Wednesday, you're going to be available Thursday?
oh yeah, I'm going to be back Wednesday night. We're not staying
Oh, okay.
overnight. Yeah, I'll be back on Thursday. I'll be back Wednesday night. We're going down to Doraville, Georgia, which is on the northern end of Atlanta. So uh, I'll be back Wednesday night, but it may be late. I'm expecting I'll be back by 9 or 10 o'clock. So, all right, guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll catch you next week.